The purpose of this lab is to create and design a successful ecosystem in an enclosed environment. Our goal is to be able to grow a plant and provide it with all the resources it needs. This is important because we are learning about ecosystems and how they function. Every ecosystem has abiotic and biotic factors. Our biotic factor in this project are the mung bean seeds. To grow mung beans, you must soak the seeds in water for 2 to 4 hours. You also must keep them moist throughout the whole process. To keep them moist, we use water, which is one of our abiotic factors. For our construction, we used 2 water bottles, 1 sponge, 1/2 cup of water, and 3/4 cup of soil. The building process took about 2.5 days for us to complete. We asked ourselves, how can we make a sustainable water source for our project? However, this was not supported because the water from the sponge flooded the soil. The 4 types of biogeochemical cycles are the water, carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus cycles. We can see the water and carbon cycles in our project. Photosynthesis and cellular respiration are also recreated because our plant releases oxygen while it needs carbon.
In all of our pictures of our mung bean plant terrarium, the plant didn't grow and the soil was very moist, and there was also condensation inside of the bottle. As you can see from the graph, it shows a constant 0 throughout our project work days, which means the plant hasn't grown at all and it's been the same since day 1. From our data, it shows that the observations we saw have been the same for the next few days. First, the plant hasn't grown. Second, there was a puddle of water stored inside of the bottle because our sponge, which caused the soil to become moist. Also, there was condensation in our bottle. Now on day 11, our bottle was starting to break where the first and second bottle.
The purpose of our lab was to create an enclosed ecosystem. Our goal was to get our plant to grow. This project matters to help us understand ecosystems in the real world. We predicted that a wet sponge in our terrarium would act as a good water source. It would be moist and also be a separate level than the soil/mung beans. Our hypothesis was that the water cycle could work with a sponge being able to absorb and release water. Our plant did not grow, so we saw a general pattern of no growth in our plant. In our graph, we saw a constant 0 in growth all 9 days. Our came to the conclusion that that was the biggest factor keeping our plant from growing. To grow a plant, excessive water is not needed, and it didn't support our hypothesis since we thought our sponge would act as a good water supplier. But the amount of water we added ultimately failed our plant, have an effect on factors, because if they cannot create an environment where a species can live, the species will not grow. Carbon and oxygen and cellular respiration within our plant. This part of the project didn't entirely work out since our plant never grew. In addition to that, our closed ecosystem was supposed to create a system where a plant could adapt to living in an enclosed area, but at the same time thrive from the way we built our terrarium. You grow mung beans by placing the seeds in the soil, giving it a good amount of water, and letting sunlight reach it. Our mung bean did not grow since we added too much water. You'll build a terrarium by number 1, giving the plant enough space to grow, giving it access to water, and letting sunlight access it.
Our first error is the shape of our terrarium. The sponge completely blocks where the mung beans can grow, and the terrarium stretches out horizontally. It affected our terrarium by not giving it any space to grow, and the way we designed it, the shape, completely doesn't work for a closed terrarium. Our second error is how much water we put in. We should have known that the sponge can soak all the water up at first, which causes soil in our terrarium to become muddy. It affected our terrarium because usually when there is too much water, the inside will usually rot. An accuracy extension that we should have is the model of our design, and a variable extension is that we should control the amount of water we decided to put in. The first extension is the model of our design. It affected the accuracy of our data by being the wrong shape. It was more horizontal than vertical, which gave it a hard time and zero space for our plant to grow. The second extension is the number of days that our plant could grow. It affected the accuracy of our data by not giving us a height or any significant data to look at. It did not turn out well, the number of weeks we had, and our height is still a 0. Our terrarium wasn't able to last because of a mistake with the sponge and water. We decided that we wanted to have a new design, but the process didn't work out. Our whole design with our new one didn't seem right to us, so we decided to take out some of the water inside our original terrarium, but that didn't do much since the soil was already muddy. We knew it was a problem since there were pools of water and our plant wasn't growing. We should care about building terrariums because it gives us a good example of how a closed ecosystem works.